you're gonna break into. Up on you.
Talking Boxing with Billy C. It began as a podcast, went live on the net, and transformed into a full-blown empire. Across the web, on Fight Now TV, and on radio stations around the world. It's the only daily boxing talk radio show on the planet, hosted by the only guy with the balls to do it. Many have stepped into the ring. Many have tried to take the belt. And one by one, they've fallen. Another victim of the undisputed heavyweight champion of boxing talk radio. Talking Boxing with Billy C. is on now.
My style is impetuous, my defense is impregnable, and I'm just ferocious. I want your heart.
We're coming to you live from the Billy C. Studio in Lake George, in New York. I'm Bill Calagione. It's time for Talking Boxing with Billy C. Good morning, good day, good evening. Whenever you listen, hope you're doing all right. Busy show, scheduled for today, close out the week. Busy week, man. Exciting week, I guess. Definitely. For the sport, anyway, for our sport. You know, it's a good time of year for boxing because we're in that nothing going on zone with other sports, you know, at least the major ones. You know, yeah, you got hoops going on, but, you know, no football, no baseball, you know. NASCAR, big race this weekend. We got a lot of good fights this weekend. Marty Mulcahy's going to be joining us at the top of the hour. He's going to be giving his thoughts on the big fights and a couple of the only big ones from last week. But first, the show's being brought to you in part by Camp and Aaron Tomkovich. If you're looking for a lawyer, use the ones that keep my ass out of trouble. That is Camp and Aaron Tomkovich. Give them a call today, 845-221-4099. 845-221-4099. Let Camp and Aaron Tomkovich knock out your legal problem. 845-221-4099. The show is also being brought to you in part by my friends down at the Halftime Bar and Grill, Route 9, South Glens Falls. Give them a call only if you want to make reservations for dinner or get directions. And that's if you like to go to a place where, you know, there's cool people hanging. There's drink specials all the time. There's live entertainment on Friday and Saturday nights. And the food is great. So give them a call, 518-792-4869. 518-792-4869, Halftime Bar and Grill. And the show's being brought to you in part by Ringside.com. That's right, for all your boxing equipment needs, there's only one place to go, and that's Ringside.com. Make sure you mention Billy C. Demand the Billy C. discount when you're placing your order at ringside.com. You got one more day today for free shipping. They got a special going on. So in addition to getting a Billy C discount, you also get free shipping with anything you buy from ringside.com. So, hey, it's our official equipment supplier for the show here. So, busy stuff going on. And one thing I want to remind everybody, yesterday we got a lot of response from the Sal Sinicola interview. And as a matter of fact, it was broken out of the show, and you can listen to it in its entirety, just the interview. If you visit www.billycboxing.com, and there's a section called Hot Interviews. You got to bang around that website, man. I mean, on the left and on the right, there's two different menus. On the right, we got, a lot of the guys' columns up there. On the left, we got some other special features. Check it out, man. Go make sure you set the website to your homepage. I mean, geez, you don't need some of those other sites, man. You just need ours. Check it out. Listen to the Sal Sinicola interview again. And speaking about Sal Sinicola, they're going to have the official press conference today, and you could check it out live. Now, I'm not going to be there, but Nate Campbell's going to be there, and so is Sal Sinicola. Check it out on LDLTV.com, LDLTV.com, starting at 1 p.m. Eastern. That's New York time for all your European listeners and viewers. So check out the press conference from Sal Sinicola's Come Back to Reality tour. We're going to be keeping that up. As a matter of fact, Dax is going to be doing an article about it. And speaking of articles, we're going to get some coverage, ringside coverage from the prize fighter going on in England this week. Thomas Newman, Thomas Newman is going to be doing that one. Hello, Newman. But anyway, got some emails. Yes, Show 160 says, could someone summarize the Tyson situation? Thanks in advance. What a nice, polite email. The situation I guess he's referring to is the lawsuit. Well, yes, Show. Here's the deal. Basically, Mike Tyson and his wife are claiming that the company, which escapes me right now, I don't have it in front of me, embezzled money. Now, here's the thing. Apparently, this was like a long-term thing going on. As a matter of fact, the guy who represented the company and who was doing the most of the embezzling, the point guy, really schmoozed up to the Tysons. As a matter of fact, he was so friendly with them that they invited him to his wedding. And it was something that was going on for a while, and I guess he ended up ripping off $300,000. And it was so serious at one point that, when the Tysons were filing bankruptcy, if you remember, Mike Tyson, filed bankruptcy. It was prevented. They prevented them from filing the bankruptcy because of this money. And as a result, the company actually admitted that this guy took the money, that he embezzled this money that should have went to the Tysons. And as a result, they were trying to cut a deal with the Tysons to, I don't know if they were going to gang up on this one particular individual or what, but they wanted the Tysons to sign off on it and saying that they weren't going to proceed. And both Mr. and Mrs. Tyson said nay. And that's why they're suing for $5 million. They're claiming that due to the embezzlement, they were not able to earn money, and their law team, has come up with a figure of $5 million on that. So that's what it's all about. It's basically about a company that they hired to do some work for them, publicity type stuff, and get them gigs and all this other stuff. And whether they got money fronted that never got paid to the Tysons or what. I don't know, but the bottom line is it is a lawsuit, and it has been filed, and I'm sure we're going to be hearing more and more of the details as time goes on. So, Given Quality says HBO wants to secure Adrian Broner in a 7-fight deal. They don't have one in place already. Okay. It seemed to me that they did, but I don't really care. I mean, I don't mean to say that in a negative way. I mean, I don't, every day when I prepare for the show and stuff, I try to, get myself in a position where I can discuss, all the happenings, what's going on, both big and small, in the sport. And as far as the major networks, it doesn't. I'm, to be honest with you, and I know Given Quality doesn't disagree. I hope he doesn't. It's sickening to see that just a small handful of the big players, control the sport, and it's a shame. It's a shame, and HBO obviously is one of them. But anyway, Jerry is asking me a question on the Billy C Challenge. You know what? We had 12 fights on the Billy C Challenge this week, Jerry. And some of the undercards some of the fights on the undercard that we are going to see on TV were very rookies. They were fighters that are just starting out. So I chose not to. But this week we happen to have it's feast or famine with these fight schedules. This week we have so many fights, and some of them are tougher than they look, I think. But anyway, that's the reason, my man. So anyway, Given Quality goes on to say they could lose Broner to Showtime as well if they don't break the bank for him. He's in a great spot right now to hold out and force their hand for more money. Who knows how many of those 7 fights would be a pay-per-view deal? Rumors are $2 million per fight, regardless whether it's pay-per-view or not, is what Given Quality's heard. But thanks. But I'm sorry. He says, but that's a lowball number for Broner after hearing the numbers of viewers he's bringing in now. I think that, HBO is clearly trying to align themselves with Broner. I don't know. What bothers me? I'm not saying Broner's not worth the money because viewers are and talk about numbers. How sad is it that people are longing to just see some fresh blood, that they're tuning in to see his fights. I think he. I don't know. I think he deserves money. What bothers me though is that there's such a gap between, like, let's say a Broner, and I'm not comparing him with like a Rodriguez or somebody like a Delvin Rodriguez in talent, but look at the gap in money. Broner, according to Given Quality, making $2 million a fight, or saying that he should be making $2 million a fight, or whatever the case is, and I'm not going to dispute that. And then you get a guy like Delvin Rodriguez, who makes $20,000 for main event on ESPN. So, and then you look at the general a 4-round fighter averages maybe $800 a fight. When you're first starting out. If you're going to, get paid to get beat up, you might make $1,000, So, it's a shame. It's a shame that the money, a lot of misconception, a lot of times when I talk to these kids that are considering, getting into the sport, their misconception because of all the dollar figures that they hear with the big names, they're thinking that they're going to make big bucks as a pro boxer, and you're really not. And we, we're always complaining, the NFL, baseball, basketball, they got all of our potential, great fighters. Well, they're making a hell of a lot more money, even if they're sitting in the bench, on the bench. A third-string football player is making more money than a boxer generally makes, unless you're, one of the top guys. Same thing, basketball. Geez, a bench player is making, $10 million, so. EQX says, I hope the Ghost can adapt. That's going to determine this fight. If the Ghost is one-dimensional as a fighter, he's not going to make it. On a physical side, I see your point, but in ring IQ, I simply think the Ghost will be outsmarted, even though he can theoretically cause a problem physically for Floyd. The normal Floyd fight. Competitive the first few rounds, and once he figures the Ghost out, it's going to be a wrap. Before I go on, one more note to other stations that take the show and everything. If you're expecting a break here, like I've done all week, I'm not taking a break here. We do, again, have several emails, and Marty Mulcahy's coming up at the top of the hour, so that'll be our first break. So, we'll be back to normal break times next week. And because of all these emails, we are launching a new show. We were trying to kick it off in March, but we got a couple of them coming in March. This show is going to be geared specifically to you guys. You guys are going to drive it. We're not going to remove the emails from this show, but we are going to cut them down. And we're going to take the emails on a weekly basis and, the best ones or whatever, and bring them onto a show and just discuss the emails. So you guys will be driving the show. It'll be Billy C. Speaks for the Fans, something like that. I think that's the name. I think that's the name they chose. But anyway, we will... maybe I'm dyslexic. Maybe it's the other way around. The fans speak through Billy C. I think that's what it is. But we will be announcing that in the very near future. As far as EQX's comment, listen, I'm not going to dispute that Floyd is intelligent in the ring. There's and outside, and there's no question about that. But I don't know, man. I don't know. Listen, this fight could really change a lot of things about not only the sport, but about the misconception or conception of Floyd Mayweather and even Robert Guerrero. I got some comments that I'm going to read from Robert Guerrero in a little bit. I won't deny that Floyd Mayweather's fight seemed to go exactly like that. First couple of rounds, they seem close. You're on the edge of your seat, and the next thing you know, Floyd is, shifting gears. I just think that, I don't think Floyd's ever fought a guy as mentally sound, a guy as mentally sound as Robert Guerrero. And I think that the mental aspect of Floyd's game is aside from all of his skill, it's pretty important, and I would think Given Quality would agree with me on this. Floyd's number one fan. The bottom line is, even a guy like Miguel Cotto is allowed to get, is allowed to have fighters get into his head, before, during, or even after a fight. And I just think that Robert Guerrero has shown that he's going to be a tough nut for Floyd to crack. So we'll have to see. But anyway. Castle Hill Gill, says, Billy, so I went to the Donaire and Rigondeaux press conference today, and I told him Billy C. sent me, and the guy said, who? He says, kindly explain to me that it was a private event. He says, next time you need to send me some credentials or something, bro. Slightly embarrassing. He says, I can get pictures for you guys if you can get me in. Is that a deal? As usual, I love the show. Also, keep an eye out for Felix Verdejo. He will be on the undercard on April 13th. Castle Hill Gill, this guy has been, communicating with us on the show, and I appreciate it. But let me explain something to you. I say go crash the parties a lot. It's a thing we like to do. We just like to... have some fun, not only with the events, but, let you guys have it and throw our name so people get mad at us. But, I would never in a million years, and don't take this wrong, Castle Hill, but I would never in a million years, ask on air for someone to cover something for us. I mean, we have people... and I'm totally open, and this goes to you, Castle Hill Gill, and as well as anyone else out there. If you want to become part of our team, part of the Billy C Network, the Billy C Boxing Network is open to adding. We're trying to expand as much as we can. We're looking for people all throughout the United States and beyond, especially Europe and everything else. So if you want to become part of our team, it's very simple. Just drop me an email, Billy@TalkinBoxing, TalkinBoxing.com, and I'll tell you how it works, and you can become part of the team. And I would most certainly agree. Anytime somebody covers an event for us, it's just not like, hey, anybody, whoever wants to cover it, do it. No. Please, if you took it wrong, yes, I did say go out there and tell them Billy C sent you. I wish 100 people went to that door and said to the guy, hey, Billy C sent me, and then finally, they're like, what is Billy C? I mean, obviously he wasn't a boxing person. Most boxing people know about us. I mean, we've been doing this show for 11 years, so I mean, don't take it wrong, but listen, we would love to have you take some photos. We also, like people to cover ringside events. We have a pretty good crew, but we always want to keep expanding. So drop me an email, Billy@talkinboxing, TalkinBoxing.com, and I'll get you in, man. We'll get you into the family. And by the way, if you forget the email address, there's actually a banner ad for it, asking for people to join the staff. So just go check out the website, BillyCBoxing.com. But I certainly wouldn't want anybody embarrassed. It's like when morning show guys, and this is a morning show. They say, "I'll go to the concert." Go to this, go to that, and that's what we do. And we like it when a lot of people show up, and they're mentioning the show, and I would love nothing more than a Woodstock situation. Crash the fence, the Billy C listeners, or whatever. Pipe dream, right? But thank you, Castle Hill, and definitely drop us an email. We'd love to have you be part of the family. Just remember, once you're in, you never can leave. XD Raven V2 says, do you think Floyd signing with Showtime could create another division in boxing between HBO and Showtime fighters? That's the last thing we need. Yeah, and I think it's already there. Excuse me, I think you see that, and the execs at both want to have these fighters under their banner. Make no mistake, man. HBO and Showtime, they're promoters. They're promoters. They just don't obtain a promoter's license. But they're promoters. You don't think HBO is a promoter? Hey, listen. How many times did Joe Santoliquito on the other day's show mention Jim Lampley's show and how great it was? Personally, I think it's garbage. Listen, I'm sick of, and I rarely give plugs to other shows, but I got to be honest, I'm sick of most of these other shows. To me, they're garbage. They're garbage. You know what I mean? They're garbage. I see this girl, very cute girl. I'd love to, but she's doing a little show, and she's cursing, and she's doing this, and she's doing that, and I don't know who likes that stuff, man. Maybe I'm missing the boat. Maybe I need to drop a couple of F-bombs and stuff. We actually had a show on Saturdays that it was uncensored, and I did. I dropped F-bombs. I did this. I did that. And you know what? Jeremy and I said, we sat back and we said, you know what? It just seems like I'm forcing them. Like if you meet me in person, not only am I going to be the same as I am on the show, but yeah, I drop the F-bombs, but they flow smoothly. I don't do it on the show because I feel it's not professional. And that's why we axed the show, man. We pulled the plug. It just didn't seem professional to me. And that's just my opinion. And I agree with XD Raven. I don't want any more division in the sport, whether it's on television or whether it's within sanctioning bodies or whatever. And by the way, Floyd Mayweather, will he fight 6 fights? You guys are voting right now. It's our poll question. Go up to the website if you haven't voted, www.billycboxing.com. Right now, say 20% of you say, yeah, he's going to do all 6 fights. 80% say, no way, man. T. Bruce says, Bills, I said last year Floyd wanted to give the fans more exciting fights, and I remember him promising to be more active. I downright believe that he is going to fight all 6 fights at this point. T. Bruce, go vote, man. Go vote and say yes. Get up there on that on the website. He says, I didn't expect him to jump out the window with a 6-fight deal, but I 100% believe he's serious about it. Now I've come across this. For the next 30 months, I will give you excitement. It's about staying active. I'm excited. It's about staying active, and before my career ends, I'm going to give the fans a lot more of what they want to see. Now, what happens after he loses? And that was a quote from Mayweather. He says, now what happens after he loses to Ghost? He says he fights the rematch, then he loses the rematch as well? ? He says fights the 3rd fight, then finds a way to win. Will he be humiliated for losing, then run out of boxing like Prince Ahmed did? Will he overstay his welcome like Roy Jones did? is. He says if he beats the Ghost, will he lose in the third or fourth fight of his 6? He says 6 fights is way too much for Floyd, and I absolutely believe he's glued into this mindset of fighting them all. And since it's a 30-month deal, he'll be forced to be consistently fighting, so he won't be able to impulsively take a break from boxing. He'll be on a schedule like Pacquiao. Whoa, slow down. Maybe like Pacquiao used to be. Well, come on. Pacquiao's not even looking ahead to fight until September. He says, but worse, he says, with what he's gotten himself into, he could probably have made the same amount of money on a fight-to-fight basis with Showtime. I almost think the deal is stupid because now he's in a slave contract. Where have you heard that before? He says, wow, I can't believe all of this. I really think this guy has gone wacko, and he's really going to fight all those 6 fights. That's way too many. He says, Floyd's an idiot. Remember how I said Trout was too big for Cotto and all that stuff? Well, Cotto and Cotto being too small. He says, this is why we have weight classes. Floyd says if Trout beats Canelo, there's a fight he's open to. I believe him 100% chance of, he says, I believe him, and I think it's 100% chance of a loss. It would be like Gesta versus Vasquez, Trout versus Cotto, etc. It's like Floyd's going to fight these tough guys back to back, and it's almost an overload. They're all tough, and Robert's going to beat them. Trout could, etc. Man, I don't know which fight I'm excited about seeing Floyd lose, but, man, he should stay in his own weight class. He's so excited to be active and put on more exciting fights before he retires. He may almost get me on the bandwagon, but, man, choose your battles wisely. Fight Bradley and maybe Canelo, not a guy like Trout. That's a clear-cut loss with him backing up and having little Floyd run into his shots. First of all, Floyd's never going to run into any shots. I can understand what you're saying, T, but you know what? I love the fact that Floyd is saying this, and I hope that he backs it up. Maybe Floyd gets it. And let me tell you something. You know, as much as I'm critical of Floyd and as much as people criticize me for being critical of Floyd, you know, I think that in my mind, and this is my opinion, if he does fight the 6 fights, which, you know, I don't think he will, but if he does, and he loses, whether he loses 1 or 3 or 6 of those fights, you know something? If he gets into that ring and he fights some of these guys, like T was laughing at me when I had sent him, we were private emailing back and forth, and I sent him my dream list for Floyd. And it was, you know, the Ghost, maybe Canelo or Trout, whoever wins that fight, Sergio Martinez, you know, Timothy Bradley, and then maybe finally a fight against Pacquiao. You know, if he fought those fights, and even whether he wins or loses, I respect the guy more. I think his stock, at least in my mind, goes up. You know, some of the fans that are scared for him to lose, what are you scared for? You know, some of the naysayers like myself and other people are critical of him for not doing what he's doing now. Who said it to me the other day? I think EQX said, you know, he's doing what you said he wouldn't do, and you're not giving him props. I am giving him props. And I'm telling you that if he goes into a fight with a guy like Sergio Martinez and loses and you know, takes a beat and everything else, I'm going to respect him more for stepping up and doing it. You know, he's going to have proved it. And if he should come out as a winner in all these and still walk away, you know, I too have to, you know, hey, listen, I will literally kiss his ass in public. If he fights 6 fights and he fights quality opposition in bigger weight classes like middleweight or you know, predominantly junior middleweight, I will respect him so much, and I will be saying that he indeed is one of the top all-time greatest fighters, maybe even number 2 or 3. You know, so definitely I think it's going to go a long way should he do that. So I'm excited too. You know, and I'm glad he's excited. Let's just see if it's not just, you know, all PR. And let's just see if it's not all a big, you know, bag of BS. Kieran says, hey, Billy, I've listened to you go back and forth about the it factor for a long time now, but couldn't figure out what the confusion is. He says, I didn't like to say anything because everyone has their own idea of it, and they're all different. But since no one still seems to understand, I want to nail it down right here. He says, this is how I see it. It is charisma. Nothing more, nothing less. Here's the definition about it. And when you think about guys like Floyd and Manny when reading it, he says, personal magnetism or charm, special personal quality or power of an individual, making him capable of influencing or inspiring large numbers of people. Inspires great enthusiasm and devotion. In a fighting sense, it's slightly different, but I still think it fits. The way they carry themselves, the talk, the aggression of the attack, or the cool factor of their skill set. There are a lot of things, but to me, it's still charisma. The wards of the fighting world are boring, even if the fight itself isn't. Congratulations to Curon. He put it the way I agree. I've been trying to say that a long time. He even has the definition here. That's all it is. That's all it is. And when we say that he doesn't have it, we're not saying that he's not a quality fighter or she's not a quality fighter. We're just saying there's something lacking. You know, Andre Ward, I think, is one of the best fighters on the planet today. Unfortunately, doesn't have it. He's a great guy, man. I couldn't believe meeting him walking down a hallway in Vegas, and he stopped, and we were chatting for a couple minutes, man. He didn't have to do that, you know. But anyway, hey, listen, I got one more email I'm going to read. But first, we're going to take a break, and when we come back, we're scheduled to have Marty Mulcahy. I'll get to the email. I got some news, fight results from last night. Interesting thing about the fights that were on Fight Now last night for Broadway Boxing. If you went and bought a ticket, you didn't get too much for your money. I'll talk about that in a little bit.
If you're in upstate New York and you need a trucking company, then you need Roselli Enterprises. Roselli Enterprises is trucking at its finest. They have it all. Dump trucks, dump trailers, walk-in floors, flatbeds, flowboys, tankers, loaders, and a full line of roll-off containers for any job, big or small. Roselli Enterprises is also the source for all your sand, gravel, and topsoil needs. Visit them on the web at RoselliTrucking.com or call 315-433-5115. That's 315-433-5115 and tell them Billy C sent you.
Are you ready, America? Then let's get it on with Fight Now TV. It's time, fight fans. Your channel has arrived. All the fights, all the names, all the action. From world-class boxing events to mixed martial arts showdowns and other combat sports matchups, Fight Now TV delivers the hits and more. Call your television provider and tell them you want to get it on with Fight Now TV. For more details, go to fightnow.com.
We've got a great matchup tonight. Fighting out of the left corner is the #1 ranked contender.
No, he is not.
I'm sorry, but who are you?
I am the IDO computer. I am programmed to provide only fair and unbiased boxing rankings. This fighter is the number 15 ranked contender.
Fair and unbiased boxing rankings? That's a new concept.
Actually, it is not. The IDO has provided unbiased computerized rankings for many years.
Well, we've still got a great fight tonight, folks. In the left corner is the number 15 ranked contender.
The IBO, the champion of integrity. Learn more at iboboxing.com.
Check out BillyCBoxing.com now, or feel the wrath of the mighty mustache.
Oh, that hurts. Why are you doing that to my face? I hate you.
That's BillyCBoxing.com. Consider this your warning.
As a young boy, all Billy C dreamed about was one day having his own catchphrase.
And we're back. And we're back.
One boy, one dream, one day, everyone will say.
And we're back. 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 And we're back.
Catchphrase coming soon to a theater near you.
And we're back. You're listening to the Talking Boxing with Billy C show. You're watching us on the Fight Now television channel. Glad you could join us. And if you don't have Fight Now on your sports channel lineup, you need to call your local television provider and tell them that you want Fight Now right now. It's that simple. Pick up the phone and call. All the information about Fight Now can be found on their website at www.fightnow.com. We're waiting for Marty Mulcahy to call. Maybe he's oversleeping, or maybe he told me he wasn't going to be able to make it today. You know what? Maybe he wasn't because of the holiday. Maybe he was off on Monday, but we'll see. Maybe he'll come in a little later. In the meantime, I'll read that email that I promised you I would. This one is coming from my man Henry Haskup. Now, Henry Haskup was pretty. You know him from the trivia questions, but he was keeping me up to date on all the stuff going on with the Sal Senecola event that's taking place on April 13th. And speaking of that, make sure you tune in to the live press conference. It's going to be streamed. So if you're at work today, especially if you're on the East Coast, right around lunchtime, 1 p.m. Eastern Time, punch it up, www.ldltv.com, and you can catch the live press conference. Sal Senecola, Come Back to Reality event. It's taking place April 13th, and yours truly is going to be calling the action from ringside. We're going to get Sal on again, and it was a great interview yesterday. We had some fun with Sal, and we'll have some more as time goes on. And, Sal did mention something about the Queen of Hearts Foundation, and that's another part of the story that we're going to get into. And speaking of stories, Dax Khan is going to be doing a write-up on Sal Senecola. Look for that in the near future. But I'm sure he's going to love the Queen of Hearts Foundation and the cause. I mean, I'll go right now on record. I know, I have my dream girl Dawn over there at LDL TV, but Michelle is the one and she's in charge of the Queen of Hearts, and it's a great cause, and most of the proceeds are going from this fight are going to that foundation. So check that one out. All that information can be found on the Sal Senecola website, www.salsenecola. So tune in to the live press conference today, 1 p.m. Eastern. And with that said, Henry Haskup was giving me a response on the Joe Frazier. Remember, Alex, the other Alex, sent a email yesterday asking about Joe Frazier. And, he wanted to know if there were any other fighters that came to mind that, pretty much made a career from one punch, and obviously Joe Frazier was known for his left hook. And I couldn't recall Joe Frazier, doing anything other than his left hook. And, the man who can find anything, anytime, anywhere, any place, Henry Haskup sent me an email, and he says, on Joe Frazier, I haven't watched many of Joe Frazier's early fights because they're just simply not available. But when he KO'd one of his opponents before he became a world champion, Jim Jacobs made the statement that he had so many knockouts, and that half of them were with his right hand and the other half was with his left. He made a point to say that he had equal amount of KOs with each hand, but that was during his early career. He says, I'm going to go through my collection of boxing film to see which ones he was talking about. He says, to be honest, his statement took me by surprise as well because I never saw many of his early bouts. He says, but I never saw any of his early bouts. This is what one writer stated about Joe Frazier. He says his right hand was solid and hurtful, but it suffered in comparison to the one punch that not only defined his career, but the image of his adopted hometown of Pennsylvania, the left hook. So thanks, Henry, for giving us that, and I agree with Henry 100%. I don't recall anything other than the left hook with Smokin' Joe. Last night, there were some fights in New York City at the Roseland Ballroom. And, Broadway Boxing is a series that Lou DiBella has put on with DiBella Entertainment. And it was also available on Fight Now. I mentioned that on yesterday's show. I wasn't there doing it, but nonetheless, it was available. And, listen, no disrespect to Lou DiBella, because I think Lou DiBella has really turned it around in the last 12 months. I mean, listen, I was critical of Lou with the lack of promotion and everything else, and I actually singled him out. And there's no way I can say that about Lou right now. I think Lou DiBella is one of the promoters that are actually promoting. I always say that Top Rank is the top one, and that other, Golden something or other is the other. They're the only ones that are willing to open up their checkbook. Well, it seems like Lou DiBella is as well. Now I will say there is still a major difference between Top Rank and Golden somebody or other, and Lou DiBella. Lou is promoting, but he's doing it within. He's still not opening up the checkbook and getting some stuff outside, but it's working, whatever he's doing. And we're starting to hear a lot more about his fighters and their accomplishments and stuff. So I applaud Lou DiBella for doing that. I think it's very important. And like I said, I for one have been very critical of promoters who don't promote, and I think it's important. And I'd like to think that because of all of the stuff that we talk about and generate discussion on gets back, and as a result, these guys are saying they're right, and to me it looks like Lou is directly doing it as a response, because even with Sergio Martinez, I wrote that. I know people are asking me when I'm going to do another article for my column, which will be taking place this weekend, I promise. They said after that article, because we got a lot of response on the article about promoters don't promote, I started noticing a lot of promotion being done by at least Lou DiBella. At least he read it. So, but speaking of that, there was my accolades for Lou DiBella, and here's my negativity. And last night's card at the Roseland Ballroom was a stinker. Yesterday I said that of all the fights, and it only looked like two of them on paper were going to be competitive. I was wrong, man, because one was competitive, and it wasn't one of the ones I said. First and foremost, Thomas Delorme improved to 17-1 with 13 knockouts. When he destroyed his opponent that was brought in to be destroyed, Edward Brooks, who now is 9-4 with only 3 knockouts. 1 minute and 35 seconds of round number 1. In the co-main event, Ivan Redkich was the way. Unito. Ivan Redkich. He improved to 14-0 with 12 knockouts when he beat Sergio Rivera by knockout, and that was also in the first round, 2 minutes and 6 seconds. 17-11 now for Rivera. In the light heavyweight division, Travis Peterkin, young fighter, he's now 7-0 with 4 knockouts when he stopped his opponent, Thomas Turner, in the third round, 2 minutes and 10 seconds. Turner now is 3-3. The best fight of the night, at least competitive-wise, was in the female ranks. And how many times did we say that? Keisha McLeod, she improved to 6 wins, 2 losses, and a draw when she won a flyweight fight against Jacqueline Park, who is now 0-2. The way the judges scored it, 2 had it at 58-56, 1 had it at 59-55, all in favor of Keisha McLeod. In the junior middleweight division, newly DiBella signed Patrick Day improved to 2-0 with 2 knockouts when he destroyed Dominique Foster. He couldn't continue after the first round, so that was the end of that. He gets stopped at the end of the first round. Foster drops to 1-2-1. Luis Cruz, he improves to 2-0 with 2 knockouts when he stopped Demond the Body Shot Brock in the third round, 1 minute and 12 seconds. Brock now is 3-2 with 2 knockouts. And finally, the last fight was a fight in the in the heavyweight division. In the lightweight division. First I said light heavyweight, then I dropped the lightweight. It was in the lightweight division. Nuki Santelius improved to 4-0 with 3 knockouts when he took care of Dennis Madras at 46 seconds of the first round. Madras drops to 1-1-1. Now, there was a 7th fight, but true to form, the New York State Athletic Commission prides themselves on canceling a fight at the last minute. They do it for every event. Bunch of bullies that they are. Although, if you read any of the press conference quotes, they're not bullies when they're dealing with really top promoters like Top Rank and Golden Boy. They kiss their arses. So, Here's my thoughts overall on that card. If you went and took track, if you kept track of the card last night, and if you were there live, and you were having a couple of beers and stuff, and or whatever, and you weren't realizing, how much action you actually saw. Now consider this: 6 fights, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. No, 7 fights. And of 7 fights, it was supposed to be 8. Of 7 fights, there was only a little more than a half hour of actual fighting. Action. 35 minutes, man. If you average that out, now I don't know what they paid, but if you went there for this event, forget the expense of driving there if you had to drive, or taking a cab or the subway or whatever, or forget about parking. You probably paid $50-$60 to park if you were parking in the city. Forget about what you spent for dinner and how many drinks you bought or whatever. Forget all of that. Just for the price of the ticket. If you just bought a general admission ticket, you paid $1 per minute of fighting last night. And, the truth of the matter is with the exception of the Keisha McLeod fight, you didn't get very much entertainment value. This is the problem with boxing today. We don't see enough competitive bouts early on. Now, you don't have to tell me. Somebody doesn't have to email me and explain to me why, because I know why. This is the way that they build up fighters. But like I'm always saying, it's being built up on your dime, on my dime. We pay. We go to see a live event. And what scares me and some other old-timers is that the younger boxing fan is just not – they're accepting it. I use the comparison all the time about, the NFL football giants, who I despise. But their fans took a stand back in the late 70s, and the end result was pretty much a dynasty ever since. They've been competitive. They've won a few Super Bowls and all that happy horse crap. But the truth of the matter is that they had to stand in front of that stadium and burn their tickets and refuse to go in. Now, granted, they still bought the tickets, but the message was heard loud and clear. If you want to see more quality bouts, more evenly matched bouts, make these promoters put their fighters in real fights if you're going to go pay and see them. The way to do it is to not buy the tickets. Don't go. Listen, nothing speaks louder than that. Now, I guarantee you that the answer that'll come from 90% of the promoter's mouth will be, well, boxing's dead. Nobody's coming to the fights. Nobody's coming anymore. Boxing's dead. No, it's not dead. It's you're not given a good entertainment value package for the money. Listen, today's economy is terrible. Nobody wants to pay anything for anything. Nobody even wants to pay $15 for a premium subscription to this show, which I'm telling you, you're going to regret, because when we can't do it anymore, and the bottom line is, nobody wants to spend money for anything. And, why is boxing any different? The other professional sports have left the small-time guy. We can't go to a football game anymore for $50. You're spending $300 to go to an NFL football game. Baseball tickets, you used to be able to go to a baseball game back in the day for a couple of bucks, $6, $7, for a Major League Baseball, for bleacher seats, but still. Now, forget about it. You got to go to minor leagues. Same thing, hockey. Basketball is outrageous. Have you ever gone to an NBA basketball game? Do you know that you're going to spend $100 for a ticket minimum? $100, man, for a ticket. So, in comparison, boxing's cheap. You spend $35, $25 for a ticket. You get a ringside seat for $100. But come on, man. Don't you want to see a good competitive fight? I don't know. I do. Speaking about competitive fight, there was one from the land down under. That's right, in Australia last night. Which this cracks me up. He lives in Australia, but he's an American, and he's 40 years old. Fred Tukes, and Fred Tukes improved to 12 wins, 1 loss, 1 draw, with 6 of his wins coming by knockout when he won a 10-round split decision over Samuel Colombian. And not only that, but he won some kind of Australian title, the Australian welterweight title. It was a fight that went back and forth. apparently there was the mat was real slippery, and one of the fighters actually took their shoes off, which I didn't even know if that was still legal, but I guess it is down there. The way the judges scored it was 97-94 and 96-95 in favor of Fred Tukes, and the third judge had it 96-94 in favor of Colombian. And Colombian drops to 20 wins and 5 losses with 10 wins come by knockout. I told you that Tukes is now 12-1-1. I guess it boiled down to the very last round. And the majority, I guess, the 2 of the 3 judges felt that it was in Tukes' favor and therefore got the W. So that's what took place last night. Now, the Ghost finally commented on the official signing of the big fight, one of 6 projected fights for Floyd Money Mayweather. And, listen, it's not like I'm a huge Ghost fan, because I'm not. Sometimes I like him, sometimes I don't. I've liked him more now. I know it's a heartwarming story. I'm so glad that he and his beautiful wife and kids, I mean, they have a very, very nice family. He's very lucky, Robert Ghost, and his father's his trainer. They work well together, and he's a religious guy. He's a stand-up guy. He's been on this show several times. And, you would think that this guy, Floyd Mayweather's jumping for joy. He's excited. He's telling everybody, not so much against this fight, but he's excited about the deal he just made. And, man, I'd love to know how much it is, man, because, for Floyd to be, jumping for joy, this guy had I hope he doesn't bankrupt Showtime. I mean, that's how much money he probably got out of this deal. But somebody said $200 million, which, I think is plus he's probably going to get a cut. He probably got, I don't know. I'm not even going to speculate. But, you would think that Robert Ghost Guerrero would be just as ecstatic, right? But, he's taking this as, just another day at the gym, first of all, he's coming off, in case you forget, and for all those naysayers out there that don't think he's going to be competitive with Mayweather, consider this, nobody gave him a chance against Selkirk Iden, and, he beat Iden. Nobody gave him a chance in hell against Andre Berto, and he beat Andre Berto in arguably the fight of the year, by most. This isn't a guy to write off, man, and this is what it's all about. I mean, he speaks so matter-of-factly, but I love this comment that he made. This is all he said. This was his comment on arguably, and by far, I mean, it's not even an argument. This is his biggest fight of his career. He's probably going to walk away, win, lose, or draw. But here's what he says. Floyd Mayweather, and that's another thing. This guy is always, on the positive. You never hear him, I only saw him really get mad once, but you never see him, talking, that kind of smack and being, he might talk a little smack, but never, degrading his opponent or anything else. He says Floyd Mayweather is a great fighter, one of the best to ever lace up a pair of gloves. He says, but on May 4th, I'm going to end his reign as pound-for-pound king. He says, I believe God has put me in this incredible position for a reason. This is bigger than boxing. It's about humbling a man everyone perceives as unbeatable. When I come out victorious on May 4th, everyone will know that if you put Jesus Christ first in your life, anything is possible. That's all he said. End of story, leave me alone. I don't know, man. All I'm going to say is this. I really believe that Robert Ghost Guerrero, over time, between now and the time the bell rings to start the fight, unless something freaky happens, is going to start to actually, because of his calmness, is going to start to get under Mayweather's skin. You watch, man. Mayweather is not going to be able to get this guy riled up. He's not. And that's going to start to bother Mayweather. And keep in mind, Mayweather's got a little bit of turmoil in his camp. He's got Papa Floyd in his corner, not Uncle Roger. There's discrepancies on the story. I heard that it's about Roger's health. Other people say it's not. It's about comments Roger made about the Pacquiao, not fighting Pacquiao, and some other things. That relationship had been degrading for a while, which, I'd never heard that. I've always heard Floyd speak very highly of Uncle Roger. So I don't know. I don't know, man. And I just mark my words. My prediction is that I think that Robert Guerrero is going to get more under Floyd's skin than Floyd is going to get under his skin. You watch. They drew for the no, not that kind of draw. They drew stick figures. No, they drew for the prize fighter, which is taking place this weekend. Our very own Thomas Newman. Hello, Newman. Is going to be covering the fight for us. I'm real jealous. I wish I could do this. Hey, speaking of tournaments, anybody ever hear whatever happened to that so-called heavyweight tournament that was going to happen here in the U.S.? Remember Don Elbaum out of Philly announced it. He had some big money guy backing him, and all this happy horse crap. I haven't heard a thing about it. I haven't heard a thing about any of the so-called fighters that were going to be in it, which, weren't exactly a plethora of talent. But, it just goes to show you, this sport is funny. You can't, and this is a message to all you young whippersnappers out there who think that you want to become a promoter and everything else. Do yourself a favor. Don't think that you're inventing the wheel. Don't think that you're the first one that's coming up with these ideas. I'm not suggesting Don thought that because he's been around the business a long time. He's well respected in the sport. But the problem here is money. I don't care that he got a money guy to back him. He's boasting a $250,000 purse or whatever it was, for the winner. And, these outrageous purses that they were going to give along the way. Multi-fight thing, TV, this and that. I don't think anybody picked it up. I don't think there was any big enough names in there, and there wasn't enough money. The bottom line is, I think it's going to fizzle out. I don't even think it's even going to happen. Because of lack of money, lack of support. So that's my opinion. But back to the prize fighter. I actually love the prize fighter, the whole tournament. I love the idea. I love it. Some people don't like the fact that it's 3 minute, 3 rounds, 3-minute rounds, and it's all the same night and stuff. See, I like that. I think it's great. And here's the way it drew. Apparently they put names in a hat or whatever, and they draw who's going to fight who. It's pretty strange how this draw comes out and how every prize fighter draw comes out. They don't seem to ever put the two top guys against each other in the first round. It's always like, you're hoping that, the two top guys end up in the final round, but who knows who's even being considered as the top guys, but the two most popular guys are Martin Rogan and Audley Harrison, or should I say, as Kieran puts it, fraudly embarrassing, who embarrassed the hell out of me because last time I went on out on a limb for him, and he came up one round. But anyway, Martin Rogan, who's I say this not because he's possessed with oodles of talent, but because he's fun to watch. I love this guy. I'd love to go to a pub and have throw back a few with him. This is the kind of guy. My man Kieran said that would be great. And these guys, Kieran and Thomas Newman over from England, they're the ones that turned me on to some of these English fighters that I'm very thankful for because I've been following them ever since. Martin Rogan was hooked up. I got hooked up to, watching him through Kieran. And then, of course, my man Tyson Fury was Thomas Newman. That was all Thomas Newman, man. He hooked me up with him, I think, after like his second or third fight. And ever since then, I haven't missed one. As far as Martin Rogan's concerned, I wish he's the story. He's the guy. Taxi cab driver, enters the prize fighter tournament and wins it. He's a brawler. He's I don't want to hear all the emails. Oh, he's not sweet science, Billy C. No, I know he's not sweet science, but he's fun to watch and he's worth the price of admission. He's taken on Albert Sosnowski. That's a tough fight, man. Albert Sosnowski, remember, he's a world title challenger. This guy's been around. He's better than people think. So I really think that's a good fighter. That's a good matchup. Audley Harrison is taking on Klaus Bertino. Bertino is out of Denmark. So we'll see what happens there. Timo Hoffman is taking on Ian Lewiston. Timo Hoffman is a big guy that's trying to get back in the biz, and he's going to be taking on a tough fighter in Ian Lewiston. And then two Americans are mysteriously get drew together. Travis Walker against another Long Island kid. I say another because I'm from Long Island. Derek Rossi. This is, if you look at these fighters, right? If you look at these 8 guys, I guess you could argue that really it's the best. It's the best lineup on paper that has been in the prize fighter tournament, at least in my opinion. For specifically for the heavyweights, there's no question about that. Some names. I mean, sometimes at least here in the States, you see these names, you're like, huh? Who? 6-0. What's he doing in this tournament? But you got some guys that are trying to get one more shot, one more fanfare. Audley Harrison, and remember this is 32,000 pounds for a prize. 30 grand. For the winner. So I don't know, man. I think it's I like it. I love the tournament. And I like this one specifically. So, hey, listen, I'm going to take a short break. When I come back, we got a couple more little tidbits for you. And then I'm going to break down. We got 12 fights, so I'm going to spend some extra time breaking down those fights. All of that's coming up in about 2.
Are you ready, America? Then let's get it on with Fight Now TV. It's time, fight fans. Your channel has arrived. All the fights, all the names, all the action. From world-class boxing events to mixed martial arts showdowns and other combat sports matchups, Fight Now TV delivers the hits and more. Call your television provider and tell them you want to get it on with Fight Now TV. For more details, go to fightnow.com.
Broadcasting in all corners of the globe, on the web and radio.
He would scoff at a stretch of that man, I
would think. You're listening to Talkin' Boxing with Billy C. From upstate New York in the good old US of A.
Boxing is here to stay because we are here to stay.
The best 2 hours of boxing talk on the airwaves.
Hey, fight fans, check out KOFantasyBoxing.com. KO Fantasy Boxing is boxing's only trademarked fantasy game. Check it out, www.KOFantasyBoxing.com. Select your own gym, your own fighters, track them through a season that can last from 3 months to a year, depending upon which league you join. You got to check this out, man, www.KOFantasyBoxing.com. Join it today. Again, www.KOFantasyBoxing.com. And tell him Billy C sent ya. Now back to Talkin' Boxing with Billy C, the only radio host man enough to take a punch from Mike Tyson.
Wait a minute, man. Hold on there. Jeremy, man, I need you to take this one, all right?
Wait, what? No way. I can't do this.
Need I remind you I'm Billy C, damn it? Now put on that mustache and get in there.
Hey, look at me. I'm Billy C. Crap.
The undisputed heavyweight champion of Boxing Talk Radio. It's Talkin' Boxing with Billy C.
Test 1 2. My fellow Americans, good evening. Welcome back to Talkin' Boxing with Billy C. It's great to be here discussing the sweet science with everybody. I love boxing. I love talking boxing. It's what I do.
Bill.
Wait, what?
Bill.
Why are you interrupting me? What?
Wrong.
What's the problem?
Billy, C.
I did not have...
We're going to have to ask
wrong
you.
Speech. What do you mean wrong, Billy C? What's going on here? Fine, I'll go. I just wanted to talk some boxing on TPSradio.net. That's all I wanted to do. I don't need your damn show. I'll get my own talking wrestling with the other Billy C. Yeah, that sounds good. I've always been a Hulkamaniac anyway.
Broadcasting live, brother. Welcome back to Talking Boxing with Billy C. on the mighty TPSradio.net, brother. What you gonna do, brother?
And, back. You're listening to the Talking Boxing with Billy C show. You're watching us on the Fight Now television channel. That's right, man. And if you don't have Fight Now on your sports channel lineup, you're not cool, man. If you want to be cool, you got to have Fight Now. So you got to call your local television provider, whether it's satellite dish or cable. Tell them that you want Fight Now right now. Remember I don't know how old you are. I want my Maypo. Remember those commercials? I want my Maypo. I want my Fight Now TV. For all the information, visit the website, www.fightnow.com. You know, occasionally, I don't know if you've ever noticed, but we've, dropped phones and stuff like that when we're trying to talk to somebody right in the middle of a conversation. You know, we lose them. And then I got to deal with people like Dax Khan, who makes fun of my Progresso soup can phone system. Well, an interesting thing happened to me yesterday. I was telling you guys about that story of how stupid those people at the cable company are and all that stuff, and and all this stuff. Well, they came, and the guy actually showed up on time. You know how usually they go, the cable company. Listen, somebody's got to be around between 6 a.m. and on Monday. We're going to show up sometime between 6 a.m. on Monday and 12 a.m. on Sunday. So we'll be there somewhere between that whole week. So you got to stick around, This guy was like right on time. And, I told the story, we built this studio and it was built, actually, the suits over at Fight Now TV sent me pictures. Oh, this is how we want it to look, so we tried to build it the way they wanted, but there was a lot of thought in it, and some things that you don't see, like cable runs and network runs and all this stuff. And there's a closet that's just looks like NASA in there, and everything's all neat. Like I've said many times, my background, I have a background in IT and computers, whatever, and so I incorporated that and. I was proud, when people come and they see the studio and they're like, I show them, because half of it is what you see, the other half is like an office, and it's done nice, and there's photos all over boxing stuff. And one of the things was that there was, the cable run for the cable modem was all neat and hidden. It was under trim. You don't see any wires. You see a couple of wires, but that's about it. But and there's a whole lot of wires, but you don't see them. I made sure that it was all run correctly. I did a lot of the stuff myself, so I wasn't concerned with how long it took and all that. I did it right. Well, it turns out that one of the wires, one of the cable runs that were original, like the guy was telling me, man, looking at this cable, it's probably 26 years old, 27 years old. Was not working right. It was the signal was not correct. And of course it was the one that was so neatly tucked and behind trim and the whole nine that had to be replaced. So now as I sit in the studio, I get to see a wire that's driving the hell out of me, driving me nuts, because I see it now, and it was so neatly hidden. However, the speed and which was already pretty good, and the drops have ceased, and the speed has increased. So maybe Dax won't get cut off next time he's on the phone. One other thing I want to mention about the prize fighter. Don't write off Derek Rossi in this. A lot of people don't think he's that great, but let me tell you something. He's the sleeper in this prize fighter tournament. At least that's my prediction. He's the sleeper. If he lets his hands go, Derek, if you're listening, which I'm sure he's awake because he's over in England right now. If you're listening, Derek, let your hands go. Let your hands go. I'd love to see him and Marty Rogan at the in the final, but I think England wants to see Rogan and Fraudley But, hey, anybody have any word on Mike Tyson's tour? I haven't heard one thing about it. He's been, it already kicked off a few weeks ago. He's scheduled to be in Tucson, Arizona tonight, and tomorrow in Phoenix. And I haven't heard anything on him, man. I really haven't. But anyway. Don't forget, if you're sitting around today, 1 p.m. Eastern, tune into LDL TV to check out the Sal Senecola press conference. It's going to be coming to you live, so you might want to check that one out. I heard Nate Campbell's going to be there. I don't know if he's going to be part of the press conference or not, but he's going to be there. So LDL TV, I guess I'm the Cinderella of the group. Nobody asked me to go, but it's like maybe it's something I said. I don't know, but I enjoyed that interview with Sal Senecola yesterday. I mean, I don't know, man. 53, 53. I don't know. He's in really good shape. So anyway, listen, we got 12. Count them, 12 fights on the Billy C Challenge this week. So I think I'm going to start a little early so we don't run out of time. And I'm not going to go in order. Usually I go in order of significance, but I'm not. I don't know what I just saw on my counter here. So I'm not going to go in any significant order. I'm just going to break them down as we go here. So the first one is a heavyweight fight that I hope actually still happens. It's still on the schedule. Haven't heard much about it, but Andrew Golota. That's right, Andrew Golota is taking on. Now, you know me with pronunciation, right? This is one of those names with every letter of the alphabet, including Z. And his name is Presmalaw Solida. Presmalaw Solida, I believe, is maybe close to how you say it. He's a former world title challenger, and he is 45 years young. He's got a professional record of 41 wins, 8 losses, with 1 draw. Now, of those 8 losses, he was stopped 5 times. Of the 41 wins, he knocked out his opponent 33 times. Yeah, I did, Dax. I did mention that with the emails earlier. He's 6'4", 79-inch reach. He's got 229 rounds as a professional with a 65% knockout ratio. His last fight. Oh, I'm sorry. I'm looking at the totally wrong. I'm giving you Andrew Golota's information because it's different. Let's go back and let me pronounce it again. Let's just say Solida. They call him Chemek. Chemek Solida is 43 wins with 7 losses. 21 of his wins come by knockout. Of his 7 losses, stopped 7 times. So he either wins or he gets knocked out. He's 45 years old. He's 6'3.5". He's got 299 rounds as a pro with a 42% knockout ratio. His last fight was a win, a 6-round decision over Ed Perry. That was 7 years ago. 7 years ago for Chemek Solida. Before that, he got stopped by Oliver McCall, and he was stopped by Sinan Simil Sam. He was stopped by some other non-factor heavyweights. Listen, I don't know much about Solida, to be honest with you. All I do know is that he fought and won the European heavyweight title against Luan Krasnicki, but that was back in 2002. For anybody that's 45 years old, a 7-year layoff has to be something. I mean, it's no 25-year layoff for a 53-year-old, but anyway, he steps in with Andrew Golota. Now, I don't care what anybody says. I've always liked Andrew Golota. So he hit below the belt a few times. So he bit somebody's back during a fight sometimes. I mean, come on, man. He didn't mean it. He's a former world title challenger. He's the one with the record of 41 wins, 33 coming by knockout. He's the one with 8 losses, being stopped 5 times, and he's the one with 1 draw. Now, he's also 45 years old. He's slightly taller than Solida. He's 6'4". He's got a 79-inch reach. He's got 229 rounds as a pro with a 65% knockout ratio. His last fight was 3.5 years ago against Tomaz Adamek. He was knocked out in 5. Before that, he couldn't continue after one round against Ray Austin. After that fight is when I figured he was done. Now, I did see him, and that was in 2008. That was following a fight that I was ringside for against Mike Molo. And I thought he looked pretty good. It was a pretty damn close fight. They could have stopped this fight in New York, but because Don King was promoting it, New York has a tendency to let the high-profile promoters get away with a lot more than the small guys. And they did that night as well. Because Mike Molo really busted up Galata's eye. I mean, actually, they were both cut up pretty bad. Neither one of them could see, but they let them continue. That was a good fight. I don't know what Galata's doing. He obviously must need money or something. I don't know. But here's the thing. I like the fight. I've always liked Galata, but I like the fight because it's two guys that are almost identical with talent level at this stage. They're the same age. They're roughly the same height. Galata's fought, almost 4 years sooner than the other guy. But, it's probably going to be a competitive fight. It's not like Galata's in there fighting, a Klitschko or Galata's in there fighting a young gun or something like that. He's in there fighting a guy similar. And who knows what's going to take place after that. Who am I picking? Of course, Andrew Galata. I'm picking the Polish, they're both Polish, but I'm picking him. I'm picking that Polish guy. Anyway, next fight actually has one of my favorite fighters fighting. We got my man Giovanni Segura. Love this kid. Love him. He's taking on Omar Salido. Omar Salido is a former world title challenger. He's got a record of 23 wins, 14 come by knockout. He's got 5 losses, was stopped 4 of those 5 times. He's got 2 draws on his record. He's 33 years old. He's ranked by the computer in the super flyweight division at number 118. He's got 160 rounds as a pro with a 45% knockout ratio. His last 4 fights, he has 1 win over a 500 fighter, 12-12 Ramon Pena. He's got 2 losses. Roman Gonzalez, El Chocolito, back in 2011, was stopped by him in 7. He fought Glenn Donaire, the brother of Nonito, lost a 12-round decision. And in his last fight, which was February, the beginning of February, Jonathan Gonzalez, the fight ended in a no contest in the very first round. So Omar Salido has fought recently, about 20 days ago. So I thought that fight was stopped on a cut. How could they be? It was a cut on the other guy. That's what it was. He steps in with by far one of the most exciting little guys I've ever seen. Giovanni Segura is a former world champion. He's got a record of 28 wins, 24 coming by knockout. Yeah, you heard right, 24 coming by knockout. He's got 2 losses. He was stopped 1 time in those 2 losses, and that was in his last fight against a guy that, you can't knock a fighter for being stopped by Brian Valoria. And that was his last fight back in December of 2011. He hasn't fought in over a year, and he had kind of retired and got his you-know-what together. He's 31 years old. He's 5'4", 68-inch reach, 127 rounds as a pro with a 77% knockout ratio. Listen, I think that he was the guy that was responsible for pretty much ending Ivan Calderon's career. Even though he's fought since then, I think that this is when we realized that it was over for Ivan. He lost his first time against Segura, and then the second time for the rematch. Both fights were exciting. The first one took place in August of 2010, and he stopped Calderon in the 8th round. And then the rematch, and obviously both were for world titles. The one in 2008 was a unification fight between the WBO and WBA. And then when they fought in 2011, it was only for the WBO, and he knocked out Calderon in the 3rd round. He followed that with a one-round annihilation over Eddie Zuniga, and then lost via an 8th round stoppage to Brian Valoria. This guy's fought everybody. One of my favorite fights, aside from even his loss against Valoria and the Calderon fights, was the 2 fights against Cesar Canchilla. He lost one and won one. Great double whammy there. I love this kid. I really do, and I'm glad he's back. And I, too, like him, believe he's going to be a world champion. And I think that tomorrow night, when they fight, is going to be that first victory on the road to getting another world title shot. So I'm picking Giovanni Segura in what's going to be an entertaining fight because all of his fights are. The next fight I'm going to pick is Chris Algieri against Jose Peralta. Chris Algieri is a fighter that fights out of Long Island. Huntington is in Long Island. He's ranked number 131 in the junior welterweight division by the computers. He's got an undefeated record, 15-0 with 7 knockouts. He's 5'10", and he's got 73 rounds under his belt with a 47% knockout ratio. You know, when you look at this guy's record, he hasn't fought anybody. Yesterday in the chat room, or it might have been Wednesday, Dax Khan made a statement I agree with 100%. He said, Chris Algieri is an exciting fighter, but I don't think he's ever going to win a world title. He's never going to be that world, level, world-class level. And I agree with that. At least it looks like that now. He's fought a lot of the same kinds of guys. 7-10, 10-5, 7-4, journeyman fighters. They've all been, he's fought all his fights in New York, either in his home base in Huntington or in Yonkers or in Melville, which is also Long Island or even Brooklyn. So, I mean, this guy hasn't fought outside of New York yet, and he's fighting tomorrow night. Now, he steps in with Jose Peralta Alejo. He's out of the Dominican Republic. He's on paper probably one of the better fighters that Chris Algieri has faced, but that's only on paper, and papers don't make good fighters. I believe more of what the computer ranks him at, and that's number 306. This guy's 5'6". He's only got 39 rounds as a pro with a 55% knockout ratio. When you look at this guy's record, if you look at his fights, there's only 1, 2, 3 fights against fighters with winning records. Three fights, and one of those fights was a pro debut guy, 1-0. So and the other guy, a 1-1 guy, was his loss. His best fight, really, to date, was a Leonard Dozier that he won a 6-round decision in Philly. 7 wins, 3 losses, and a draw. Who's going to win this fight? Who do you think? Chris Algieri. I mean, this is why this is my hang-up. This is what I was complaining about with the Broadway boxing show last night. You go there, you spend hard-earned cash. It works out to be $1 a minute for actual action. The fight last night in New York was less than 35 minutes of fight time. And everybody knows who's going to win. This fight is classic of what that card was last night. I'm picking Chris Algieri. The next fight is an interesting one, and I'm surprised to see who the favorite is. Garrett Wilson against Alexander Alexiev, and Garrett Wilson is the favorite in this fight. I'm shocked. I'm shocked at this, even though they are fairly close in computerized rankings. Garrett Wilson is ranked number 25 by the computer in the cruiserweight. These are cruiserweights. He's 30 years old. He's got a record of 13 wins, 7 coming by knockout. And he's got 5 losses, only stopped 1 time. He's got a draw. He's 5'9". He's got 112 rounds as a pro with a 37% knockout ratio. In his last fight, he beat a very talented fighter in Andres Taylor, and that was in April of last year. He knocked him out in the last round. His losses all came together pretty much. His first 2 losses came in his 4th and 5th fight against guys that he was stepping up against. Daya Davis beat him in a 6-round decision, and Denny Hassan beat him. Both of those fighters had well over winning records. He's also lost 3 fights in a row, starting with Carlos Negron in New York. He was a 6-0 fighter, lost a 6-round decision, got stopped by Omar Shika. in the fourth round, and then lost to a 9-0 fighter, Julio Cesar Matthews. These all took place in 2010, and he lost those 3 in a row. Now, he kind of turned his career around still in 2010, which was his busiest year as a pro, when he came back and won 3 in a row. Rashawn Scott, Andres Taylor again, and this was the first time he fought him, and that fight was actually a split decision draw. And then he stopped Aaron Williams, who was cruising on his way of being a top-ranked fighter at 20-2 with a draw, and he stopped him. He's never lost since the last loss against Julio Cesar Matthews, with the exception of the Andres Taylor draw. He also beat Chuck Mustachio, who's a built-up fighter. He knocked him out in 12. Pedro Martinez, I didn't know the pitcher was fighting. Beat him. And then, of course, the fight I just mentioned, Andres Taylor in his last fight back in April of last year. Now, he steps in with German Alexander Alexiev, and he's a former world title challenger, Alexiev is. He fought Victor Emilio Ramirez in 2009 for the WBO cruiserweight title. He's the European cruiserweight champion. He's got some decent fights against some top-known fighters. Now, he did lose. His record is 23 wins, with 20 coming by knockout. He's got 2 losses, and he was stopped both times, and he's got a draw. Now, the computer ranks him at number 15. Now, if you recall, Garrett Wilson was ranked at number 25. He's 31. Wilson's 30. He's 6'2". Huge advantage right here for the southpaw. Now, Garrett Wilson is an orthodox fighter, but Alexiev is a southpaw, and he's got a huge height advantage at 6'2" versus 5'9". The number of rounds they fought are almost identical. Wilson had 112, like I mentioned. Alexiev has 113. The big difference is the knockout power. Alexiev has 77% knockout. His losses, his draw was in his last fight against Firat Arslan. That was a majority decision draw. Many people weren't happy with that. And it's funny because some people think Alexiev won, some people think Arslan won. So, it was probably one of the few times it was actually a draw. But his 2 losses came, I mentioned the first one when he got his shot at the world cruiserweight title from Ramirez, and he couldn't continue after the 9th round. But his only other loss came to a current world champion. That's Denis Ledebev. Knocked him out in 2. But he's got some wins against some decent fighters like Kendrick Relaford, who's a gatekeeper, and Ad Lucina, who's a tough fighter. I don't know. I like this kid. And I'm not so sure why Garrett Wilson is actually, in some of the sports books, he's actually the favorite. They call him the Ultimate Warrior. It is going to be a tough fight, and it does seem like Garrett Wilson has turned his career around. Like I said, those losses came earlier in his career. What does that all mean? Well, to me it means that I'm still picking Alexander Alexiev. I don't care who the favorite is in this fight. I think Alexiev is a tough out, and I think that he's going to win. Now, here's the thing. Should he not win, I think you better watch out for Garrett Wilson. Because if Alexiev doesn't come out with the W here, Garrett Wilson is going to be a force in the cruiserweight division. That's for sure. Now listen, we got some other fights to go over, and that fight's tonight, by the way. We got a couple of more fights that are scheduled for tonight. We got the Christopher Martin and Jose Angel Barranza fight, and then also. Some televised fights, Jose Nueves against Danny Flores, Art Hovisian against Alondro Perez, and the big fight, Lamont Peterson going up against Kendall Holt. Those fights are all tonight. And then tomorrow we got the other fights, David Price, which I can't wait for, K9 Bundridge fight, Glasgow against Malik Scott, and Chris Avelos against Jose Luis Areza. I'm going to give you my breakdown and opinions and who's going to win those fights coming up in about 2 minutes because we got to take a break.
Talkin' Boxing with Billy C. now has official merchandise available on TalkinBoxing.com. T-shirts, sweatshirts, hoodies, and mugs. And yes, even undergarments. Talkin' Boxing apparel is the perfect gift for the boxing fan in your life. Log on to www.talkinboxing.com. That's TalkinBoxing.com and place your order today.
Join us here for 2 hours as Billy and the gang do what they do best.
Every time I start talking about boxing, a white man got to pull Rocky Marciano out their ass. Rocky Marciano was good, but compared to Joe Louis, Rocky Marciano ain't.
Beat Joe Louis's ass.
Joe Louis was 75 years old when he fought. Huh?
What?
We're supposed to be talking boxing.
It's Talking Boxing with Billy C.
As Billy C sits here in the multi-million-dollar Talkin' Boxing Studios, sipping a fine wine before you're even out of bed, you should be thinking, damn, I wish I had a mustache like his. It's the Talkin' Boxing with Billy C show. He's Billy C, and you're not. Sucks to be you.
Now let's dig into our archives and hear a rare interview when Billy C first became the champion of boxing talk radio. Hello, Billy C. As the new champ, can we ask you a few questions?
Why, certainly.
Okay, your fans would like to know how you and your corner have successfully walloped the competition.
We're not ordinary people. We're morons.
Anything else?
I'm a victim of circumstance.
Did your success finally come when you made the show 5 days a week for 2 hours? What do you think?
I'm trying to think, but nothing happens.
Now, please tell the listeners what you've learned from making it this far.
Certainly. If at first you don't succeed, keep on sucking till you do succeed.
Great words of wisdom, Billy C. Keep up the great work as the undisputed People's Champion with your show, Talkin' Boxing with Billy C. Any last words to anyone who's listening?
This is your fault, you bonehead.
And we're back. You're listening to the Talking Boxing with Billy C show. You're watching us on the Fight Now television channel. For all the information about the channel, how you can get it, all that happy stuff, visit their website, man. www.fightnow.com. That's right. Speaking of websites, check out BillyCBoxing.com. It's your only, should be your one-stop shop for boxing news, information, articles, all that happy stuff. And speaking about being happy, cast your vote. You know, will Floyd Mayweather fight all 6 fights of his new contract with Showtime? Will he? What do you think, man? You know, I'm not so sure he will. Hey, while you're at it, you know, instead of wasting your money this weekend on whatever, why don't you become a premium podcast subscriber? It's only $15 for a year. Gives you access to all of our content. We got some new shows coming up. Well, we got the Change My Mind, which upon popular demand, we aired the Alex Governmental Change My Mind yesterday. We got some new ones coming up next week and a week after and a week after. We got the new show that's going to be kicking off. It's going to showcase promoters each week, no, that one's a monthly show, I think. Or is it weekly? Now you guys got me thinking. I don't recall if it's a monthly or a week. Oh, I know what it is. It's once a month. The promoter gets the show. That's what it is. So it's a weekly show. So we're going to be showcasing different promoters and their fighters and their events and all that stuff. Oh, we also got the new one because of all the emails and the interaction we got. So we're going to be doing all of that. That's all kicking off, man. And you can check them out initially on LDL TV. You know, and if you don't get the channel, you can watch the stream. All of the stuff on LDL TV is streamed on LDLTV.com. And speaking of LDL TV streams, you can catch the stream today, 1 p.m. Eastern, of the South Senecola press conference announcing the Comeback to Reality fight that's going to be taking place April 13th. And yours truly will be calling the action from ringside. So we're going through the Billy C Challenge. We've got 12 fights on the Billy C Challenge. If you're not part of it, you still got time. Just email me, Billy at TalkinBoxing, TalkinBoxing.com. Christopher Martin against Jose Angel Baranza. That's taking place tonight. Christopher Martin, he's a guy I can never figure out. He's 25-2 with 3 draws. He's got 8 knockouts. Never been stopped. They call him the SD Kid. He's 26 years old. He's ranked number 50 by the computer. He's 5'8". 5'6". I'm 5'8". He's 5'6". He's got 191 rounds of pro with a 27% knockout ratio. He's fought some tough opposition, man. He really has. You go down his resume, and he's fought some tough guys, including the guy he's fighting tonight, Jose Angel Barranza. Jose Angel Barranza, he's got a record of 35 wins, 25 losses. Of those 25 losses, he's only stopped 4 times. Of the 35 wins, he's got 27 by knockout. He too has a couple of draws. He's got 2 instead of 3. He's ranked substantially lower than Christopher Martin, but he's at featherweight at number 141. He's 36 years old, 10 years older than Martin. He's 5'4", 2 inches shorter, and he's got a 66-inch reach. He's got more than twice as many rounds as a professional. He's got 403, and his knockout ratio is also twice as much as Christopher Martin at 44%. This guy's fought everybody and everybody in a couple of different divisions, going back to the super flyweight all the way up to now featherweight. Listen, if you want to know the definition of a gatekeeper, look it in the dictionary, and you will see Jose Angel Barranza. He's a guy that is a strong test for any fighter. He goes rounds, as you can tell, with 25 losses, only been stopped 4 times. Christopher Martin is a guy that you never know which Christopher Martin's going to show up. Sometimes he's exciting, sometimes he's boring, sometimes he wins, sometimes he loses, sometimes he struggles and gets a draw. I look at his last 2 fights against, one was against a very, quality fighter in Robert Castaneda, where he stopped him in 6 rounds. His fight after that, which was in November of last year against a very marginal Robert Golan, stops him in 2. And then you go back to his second fight in 2012 when he fought Luis Orlando del Valle. I know that he's one of Dax's favorite guys. We saw him get slayed by a fighter recently, and he lost to him. He had a 3-fight sweep there where one of the losses was actually against Jose Angel Barranza. He lost to him through a split decision. He had a draw against Tion Kennedy, and then he lost to Luis del Valle. A lot of people thought he was done. He came back with those 2 wins. I know Barranza's tricky, but I'm picking Christopher Martin, which means he's probably going to lose because every time I pick him, I get the wrong side. But I'm taking Christopher Martin over the journeyman. The next fight is taking place tomorrow night. Chris Avelos against Jose Luis Areza. Areza has got a record of 29 wins, 7 losses, 1 draw. 20 of his wins come by knockout. 4 of his losses came by knockout. He's 34 years old. He's got a 64-inch reach, 5'3" tall, and his last fight was in November of last year, and it was a loss to Juan Carlos Pagnano. And prior to that, he lost to Randy Caballero in March of last year. Prior to that, in January of last year, he got a draw to Jesus Rojas. And prior to that, in October of 2011, he lost to Jonathan Oquendo. As a matter of fact, he's got, of his last 7 fights, he's got 6 losses and 1 draw. So to say that all his losses came in one chunk is an understatement. 34 years old, that's a huge sign that says it's time to get another job. Now he steps in the ring with Chris Avelos, who's only been beaten twice in his career. He's got a record of 20 wins, 15 coming by knockout, and 2 losses. He's never been stopped, and those 2 losses were both questionable losses, split decisions. The first one was against Christopher Martin back in 2010. I remember that fight. I believe it was on Showtime. I remember that fight. It was a close fight. I thought Avelos won that fight, and I actually became a fan of his. He was a little busier and everything else. He's followed that up with a couple of wins. He did step in with Jonathan Romero back in December of 2011 and lost another controversial close fight. He righted the ship against Rafael Vicente, who was undefeated, won a 10-round decision in August of last year, which brings him into this fight with Jose Luis Areza. He's number 22 in the super bantamweight division. He's only 23 years old, 5'7", 67.5-inch reach, 97 rounds as a pro. I'm picking Chris Avelos. The next fight is is probably the one I'm looking forward to the most, with the exception. Actually, there's not. There's four big fights this week, but I really like this one. I'm just going to call him V, or we'll call him Cesar Glaskov. He's taking on Malik Scott. Now, Glaskov is a guy that when you look at his record, you'll see that he's not, he hasn't been around that long as a pro. 14-0 with 10 knockouts. He's 28 years old. He's 6'3". He's got 62 rounds as a pro with a 71% knockout ratio. You look on his resume, who's he fought? I don't know, half of these guys except two, and those are his last two fights. Actually, he's got a big win against Denis Bakatov back in 2011. But aside from those three fighters, virtually unknown opponents, all in Russia. However, Denis Bakatov, he fought in 2011, but the last two fights, I think, really put him on the map. In September of last year, he fought Constant Eric, who's a very respected heavyweight, and he fought him in Moscow and won a 10-round decision. But I think that he really busted onto the scene with his last win when he just took all the fight out of Tor Hammer. Tor Hammer quit. I'm not going to say that he quit like a girl, but he kind of quit like a girl. And the bottom line is Glaskov was instantly on the scene. He shows relentless attack. He shows some pop. He shows some body work. And I criticized Tor Hammer for quitting. Now, I couldn't have possibly have lasted the 4 rounds, but I'm not a professional fighter either. Now, Glaskov steps in the ring with a guy that it reminds me of David Rodriguez, and you've heard me be very critical of David Rodriguez. He, too, is an undefeated heavyweight with a similar record. Malik Scott is undefeated at 35-0 with 12 knockouts. He's out of Philly. He's 32 years old. He's similar in height, 6'4". He's got 205 rounds as a pro with a 34% knockout ratio. This guy had some trouble in and out of the ring. As a matter of fact, he went to in my circle of people, we call doing some time. We call that going to college, and he did a few years in the Slammer. His last fight in 2008, he fought Rafael Butler, won an 8-round decision, and then was kind of out of commission for 4 years. And he got back into the ring in February of last year. He fought 3 times last year, all wins. 2 of them were decisions. He won an 8-round decision over Kendrick Relaford. And then he fought Alvaro Morales, won a 6-round decision over him. And in his last fight, and arguably his best fight of his career, he fought Bowie Tutupu and stopped him in 8 rounds. This is an extremely important fight for both these guys and for the heavyweight division. It was a tough one for me to pick because, Joe Sandiliquito, who's a Philly guy and obviously was, trying to plug his boy, who is Malik Scott, however you want to pronounce it. But, I think that Glaskov is the real deal. And I think that Scott has never been in with a guy that's going to be relentless like Glaskov is. And the other thing that I think is going to be a huge test for Scott is his chin. Scott doesn't have the power, at least he hasn't displayed it in his 35 fights with only 12 knockouts, that Glaskov has. With that said, I always like to take power over boxing ability, even though most people like the sweet science. I'm just not so sure Malik Scott is that good of a boxer. I think this is a big test for him. I'm picking Glaskov to beat Malik Scott in a very entertaining fight on NBC Sports. The next fight, which is also tomorrow night, which is going to be on Showtime, the new home of Floyd Mayweather Jr. Well, speaking of Floyd Mayweather Jr., Ishii Smith is part of Team Mayweather, and he's going up against K9 Bundridge. Ishii Smith has got a record of 24 wins, 11 coming by knockout. He's got 5 losses, never been stopped. He's got no fights in 2011. He didn't fight at all in 2011. He's ranked number 36 by the computer. He's 34 years old, 71-inch reach, 5'10". He's got 166 rounds as a pro with a 38% knockout ratio. He did fight on a Contender Series, winning 2 and losing a very close split decision to Sergio, is the most boring fighter in the world. Mora. He's also got losses, which, a red flag goes up because Shu Pal and Yoel Julio, he lost to both. But you know what? Cornelius K9 Bundridge lost to both those same guys. So, that's kind of a write-off. Now, in his recent 2 losses, which were in 2009 and then following in 2010, was against Daniel Jacobs. And Danny Jacobs now is, we know that, he battled cancer and he's coming back. He lost a 10-round decision against him. And he lost to Fernando Guerrero, who was an up-and-coming fighter at the time, undefeated before he met Grady Brewer. And he lost to them, which showed me that he lost, had a tough time with slick fighters. All right, now Shu Pal is not a slick fighter. Joel Julio is not a slick fighter, but Daniel Jacobs, he's kind of a slick fighter. He also beat a world champion in Randall Bailey. Sergio Mora is kind of a slick fighter. He has trouble against slick fighters. K9 Bundridge, he ain't no slick fighter. He's a knockout puncher, even though he doesn't have a lot of knockouts. He's got 32 wins, 19 come by knockout. He's got 4 losses. He was stopped twice. He's 39. He's currently the IBF World Junior Middleweight Champion. He's 5'6". He's ranked number 3 in the world by the computer. He's got a 72-inch reach, 182 rounds as a pro, with a 51% knockout ratio. Styles make fights, and he owns Corey Spinks. There's no question about that. When you look at his losses, he lost to Shu Pal, but he avenged that loss for a world title fight. He lost to Grady Brewer, who's a slick fighter. He lost to Stevie Forbes, who's a slick fighter. He lost to Yoel Julio by knockout. And I mentioned Grady Brewer, so he too has some trouble with slick fighters. Here's the thing in this fight. There's 2 things that I'm looking at. I look at the like opponents. They both fight the same. I look at, the up and down career of both of these guys. They both look the same. So I have to really look at this fight, the way you should look at all fights and really analyze both of these fighters and see, style, right? Well, I look at 2 factors, and this is why I'm picking the upset of the weekend. And I'm taking Ishii Smith to beat K9 Bundridge. And the reason why is simply this. Number 1, Ishii Smith has been in the camp Mayweather for, a while now. He's learning something in there, okay? And not only is he learning defense, but he's learning attitude, and he's going to have that air. You hear us talk about it when a fighter gets a title, all of a sudden they increase their game. I think just being around the Mayweathers is going to increase the game of Ishii Smith. That's number 1. Number 2, the game plan that's going to be incorporated by Team Smith is going to be looking for the one thing that K9 does. He only does one thing. He tries to take your head off. That's it. He's too one-dimensional. He's 39. Father Time catches up with all of us. It's catching up with K9 Bundridge tomorrow night. I'm picking an upset in Ishii Smith. The next fight is another one I can't wait to see. And it's a huge test. David Price against Tony the Tiger Thompson. Tony the Tiger Thompson's a former 2-time world heavyweight title challenger. Unfortunately, he came up short and got knocked out both times because they were against the same guy. Of his 3 losses, he's got 36 wins, 24 come by knockout, 3 losses. 2 of those 3 losses came at the hands of Vladimir Klitschko, both by knockout, and those are the only ones he was knocked out. He also suffered a loss early in his career back in 2000 against Eric Kirkland. This guy's really underrated. He's ranked number 11 by the computer. He's 41 years old, 6'5", 81.5-inch reach, 185 rounds as a pro. Now, he steps in with one of the young guns out of England who is very promising. Here's the test for the 15-0 with 13 knockout David Price. He's undefeated, like I said, 15-0. He's ranked number 14 by the computer, which is higher or lower, depending upon how you look at it, than Tony Thompson. He's got an 82-inch reach, and he's 6'8". 39 rounds as a pro with an 87% knockout ratio. Yes, he's fought and destroyed Audley Harrison. Yes, he beat Matt Skelton. Yes, he beat Big John McDermott, who's a tough guy. And yes, he beat Tom Dallas and Sam Sexton, all tough guys on the other side of the pond. Tony Tiger Thompson is a real deal. But here's the thing that's going to be the biggest test for David Price. It's not so much Tony Thompson because he's got a tendency to be very methodical and slow, and David Price is a good boxer. But the thing that David Price has never done is he's never stepped in there with a guy that's almost the same size as him. Tony the Tiger Thompson is going to be one of the biggest guys he's ever faced, height-wise. How's he going to do? Well, I think he's going to it's not going to be that exciting of a fight, but I think David Price is the real deal. I'm picking David Price. I like Tony Thompson. He's one of the nicest guys you ever want to meet, but unfortunately he's going over to England. He won't get the decision, and I don't think he stops David Price. I think he's got the power to, but I don't think he does. I'm picking David Price in that one. The next fight is Jose Nueves against Danny Flores. Jose Nueves is 21 wins with 10 coming by knockout. He's got 2 losses. He was stopped 1 time with those 2 losses. He's got not 1, not 2, but 3 draws. He's 32 years old. He's ranked number 20 in the bantamweight division by the computer. He's 5'6". He's got 142 rounds as a pro with a 38% knockout ratio. His last fight was the biggest fight of his career when he stopped Glenn Porras in the second round. His 2 losses came into the hands of Victor Fonseca and Chris Avayelos. He steps in with Danny Flores. Danny Flores has almost an identical record, and he's a lot younger, but he's ranked at number 104 by the computer. He's 14 wins, 8 coming by knockout. He's got 2 losses, and he was stopped 1 time, and that was against Jonathan Gonzalez last year in October. He's got 80 rounds as a pro with a 50% knockout ratio. His other loss came early in his career against a 2-1-2 Jose Guerrero. Here's the deal. This guy has fought some tough journeyman fighters, but I think it's going to be an entertaining and close fight, but I'm picking Jose Nueves in this one, although I think Danny Flores is a very, very live underdog. In the last 2 fights, both of these fights, I think, are very, very tough to pick. Art Hovisian, which I know I just murdered his name, he's an up-and-coming fighter. Even though he's 31 years old, he's ranked number 26 by the computer in the lightweight division. He's 15-0 with a couple of draws. He's got 8 knockouts. His last 2 fights, one was a win, a big win, split decision, 10-round win over Miguel Acosta. And the other fight was Cristobal Cruz, a 4-round technical draw due to Cristobal Cruz cutting up. But Art Hovisian was leading that way. This kid is a good fighter at 5'7". He's got 85 rounds as a pro with a 47% knockout ratio. Now he steps in with another guy very similar to himself, in Alejandro Perez. Perez has 16 wins, 11 coming by knockout. He's got 3 losses, never been stopped, and he's got a draw. Now he's not ranked by the computer because he just missed being out of the ring for just a little over a year. He's 5'6", similar in height, similar in reach, 72-inch, similar in rounds, 97 with a 55% knockout ratio. The thing is that this guy has fought the lesser of opposition. You know, his best win was against Antonio Escalante when he beat him via a first-round knockout. When he stepped up his level of opposition, Diego Magladeno and also Rico Ramos, he lost some tough decisions. And he also split with journeyman gatekeeper Adolfo Landares. He lost 1 and then stopped him in the 9th round. What does it all mean? It means that I'm picking Art Hovisian. He's going to win the fight. It's going to be a very entertaining fight on Showtime. Now, for the fight that I think is actually the most... there's so many backdrops to this fight. I'm talking about Lamont Peterson against Kendall Holt. Lamont Peterson, it's all been publicized that he was busted for using steroids, and he was supposed to fight a rematch with Amir Khan for $1 million. But then he tested positive, and the fight was canceled. Amir Khan... tried to get his belts back after Lamont Peterson beat him in December of 2011. It was Lamont Peterson's last fight. A lot of stuff has gone back and forth. Amir Khan has gotten a new trainer, and he seems to have improved his game. He still wants to fight Lamont Peterson. I always thought that was a stupid fight for Amir Khan at that time. I think if you look at these 2 fighters now, although we haven't seen Lamont fight in over a year, I think that it would actually be a better fight for Amir Khan now than it was when they fought back in December of 2011. But this isn't about Amir Khan. It's about Lamont Peterson and Kendall Holt. Lamont Peterson is an underrated fighter. For some reason, when he lost his fight against Timothy Bradley, next thing you know, everybody's looking at, and then he had that draw with Victor Ortiz, everybody's looking at this guy as like he's not all that. I think he is. I think he shows tremendous heart, whether it was the steroids or not, I don't know. But he shows tremendous heart. He's got a great trainer. He's still the IBF World Junior Welterweight Champion. He's got a record of 30 wins, 15 come by knockout. He's got a loss, never been stopped, and he's got that draw. He's 5'9", 72-inch reach, 207 rounds as a pro, with a 47% knockout ratio. The thing is that he's got hand speed, he's got some pop. He's a good fighter, man. He's a good fighter, and he's got a lot to prove. And by the way, I mentioned that $1 million purse he lost out on. Remember, this purse bid was won $30,000, which gets split between the two fighters. Now, I know ESPN, Dax and I were talking about this the other day, ESPN threw some money in the pot, but still, this is a guy that lost basically a nest egg for his future over the steroid use. So it's going to be very interesting to see how he comes out. Now, he's fighting against a very good opponent in Kendall Holt. Kendall Holt is a no-joke fighter. He's a former world champion. He's got a record of 28 wins, 16 come by knockout. He's got 5 losses. He was stopped 3 times in those 5 losses. And he's ranked at number 6 right now by the computer. Similar in height and reach, 5'9". He's got a 74-inch reach, 184 rounds as a pro with a 48% knockout ratio. His last couple of fights, well, he won one and lost one. He beat Timmy Coleman and lost to Danny Garcia. The Danny Garcia fight was very close. It was a split decision. This guy is a good fight. He had 2 great fights when he won the title and lost his shot, then won the title against Ricardo Torres. Listen, this is, in my opinion, because of the layoff and because of all the stuff going on, I think this is really a 50-50 fight, despite the odds, which are in Lamont Peterson's favor. I also believe that Kendall Holt would be a very live underdog in this fight. However, the reason why I'm picking Lamont Peterson is I think he's a more well-rounded fighter. He's got, hand speed. He's got decent defense. He can take a punch, and he's going to have to take a punch because Kendall Holt, that's his game. His game is power punching. He takes some shots, and then all of a sudden, out of nowhere, he drops you. That's his MO, and that's what he's going to be looking to do against Lamont Peterson. I just don't think it's going to happen. I'm picking Lamont Peterson. So the fights I'm picking this week, Lamont Peterson over Kendall Holt, Art Hovizia over Alejandro Perez. I'm picking Jose Nueves over Danny Flores, David Price over Tony Thompson, Ishii Smith to become the new champion over K9 Bundridge, V. Glazkov over Malik Scott, Chris Avelos over Jose Luis Arezia, Christopher Martin over Jose Angel Baranza, Alexander Alexiev over Garrett Wilson, Chris Algieri over Jose Peralta, Giovanni Segura, my man, against Omar Salido, and Andrew Galata over Presmislav Salida. Great fights this week, 12 of them on the challenge. Good luck to everyone.
Wake up. It's time for the... It's too early for a trivia question.
Today's It's Too Early for a Trivia Question is being brought to us by Gleason's Gym in Brooklyn, New York. Check them out, man. You can get to their website easy by visiting ours, www.billycboxing.com, and click one of the Gleason Gym banners, or you can call them direct, 718-797-2872. 718-797-2872. Gleason's Gym in Brooklyn, New York. Check them out, man. Tell them Billy C sent you. If you're signing up for a class, if you're signing up for a gym membership, or if you're buying some Gleason's Gym stuff, mention Billy C and demand the Billy C discount. And don't forget, Gleason's is now in Manhattan and also Jersey. Today's trivia question is the same one. I got to be honest with you. I'm really sick of this question. I'm sick of this question, and Henry Haskell gave us a tough one here. I'm going to give you guys the hint of all hints, all right? Who is the only fighter who never held a world title, and he stopped a future or former lightweight and a light heavyweight champ? The hints that Henry was giving you was that he won 86% of his victories by knockout or TKO, and he once stopped 16 consecutive opponents. I'm giving you even bigger hints. I'm going to name the 2 guys that he beat, all right? Jose Torres was a future light heavyweight world champion in 1963, and Patty DeMarco was a former lightweight champion in 1959. Who is this guy? If you don't get this one, this question's being canned. Good luck to everybody on that.
This day in boxing history.
And finally, this day in boxing history is being brought to us by Campanaro and Tomkovich. That's right. If you're looking for a lawyer, use the ones that keep my ass out of trouble. That is Campanaro and Tomkovich. Give them a call today, 845-221-4099. 845-221-4099. Let Campanaro and Tomkovich knock out your legal problem. 845-221-4099. And, oh, by the way, for the trivia question, email me, Billy at talkinboxing, TalkinBoxing.com. Today's history, day in boxing history, being brought to us by Campanaro and Tomkovich. And we're also going to throw in the Sal Senecola fight. That's right, April 13th. Mark it down. Be there or be square. On this day, February 22nd, in 1922, William Bryan Downey wins a 12-round decision over Frank Carbone to win the world middleweight title, and that took place in Canton, Ohio, the home of the NFL Hall of Fame. On this day, February 22nd, in 1922. Hey, man, that concludes our show for today. I do have one more thing to say. You know what it is? Make sure you tune in Monday morning, same bat time, same bat channel. There's only one channel, the Fight Now channel. Call your local television provider and tell them you want the Fight Now channel added to your sports channel lineup. It's that simple. Pick up the phone and call for all the information about that channel. You can find it on their website, www.fightnow.com. Have a great weekend. Enjoy the fight. See you Monday. Ciao, baby.